Today we're going to learn about wedging, and for the most part this is really important for several reasons. Reason number one is it gets rid of air bubbles, which, as we know, when air bubbles expand in the kiln and the clay is shrinking, it can cause explosions. The second most important reason to wedge your clay is to make sure that you're getting a nice even consistency. Otherwise you're going to end up with the clay on the outside is going to dry out faster than the clay on the inside, and so you want to even up that texture and get those particles in motion. So for most of you, myself included, when you get an entire brick of clay, it's about 7 pounds, and that's a lot of clay to wedge your first few times. So what I do is you can either take your wire tool, wrap it a few times, and you're going to cut it. So you can use about half of it at a time. Another thing you can do, just kind of an FYI, if you don't have a wire tool handy, is you can take your hands and you can actually twist the clay in opposite directions, and that will cut it as well. Okay, so taking your clay that is workable for you, if you can handle more clay, go ahead and add more clay to it. But the first method, so there's 3 methods to wedging your clay, and this first one is called monkey face. And monkey face kind of looks like a monkey or an alien. Depends on your perspective, and it depends on how you wedge your clay, honestly. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you are grabbing it from the side so that if you needed to, you could pick it up. You want to make sure you're holding it from the side, but the main component of this is that you're actually going to use the heels of your hands to push it down. So what you're going to want to do, I'm a little short, so you're going to want to push down and away from yourself. So I'm going to push down and then push. I'm going to rotate the clay upwards using my fingertips, and I'm going to push down and away. And when you do this quite quickly, what you're doing is it's going to look like more like this. Okay, and as you start to do that, sort of, if you push in the holes, it starts to look like a monkey or an alien. Of course, don't push those too in deep, and those aren't necessarily, that's just for fun. But if you were looking at this as if it really was a monkey, it's almost like you're breaking the jaw and making a new one. Breaking the jaw, making a new one. Okay? So that one is called monkey face. I'm going to kind of spray my clay. It's starting to dry out a little bit. The second method is called the snail shell or conch shell, seashell. It depends on who you're talking to, but it looks like a shell. This one's a little bit more confusing. Same kind of idea as monkey face, just a little bit different. Instead of when you're doing monkey face, you're pushing straight down and pulling it straight up. With the snail shell from the side, you're going to push it down just like you did monkey face, straight down using the heels of your hands. But then when you rotate it up, or when you pull it up, you're going to rotate it to your right side, twisting it on this pivot point. So I'm going to twist it, push it down. Twist, and push it down. And that's what it looks like as you do it fast and from the front. Okay, and that's why it's called snail shell, because it ends up looking like a shell. Third method for wedging your clay is it's actually called slab and slam. This method is best for when you are trying to mix like some wet and some dry clay. So what you do is, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to slap and slam this into a brick. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Then you're going to take your wire tool, and like you would with dental floss, you're going to grab it by both ends of the stick and wrap it. And then if you're right-handed, you're going to use your left thumb and put it on the corner and cut it into slices. Okay. Now, actually I'm going to get one more. This is where if you had some wet clay, and let me go get some, so I'm going to pause it. Okay, you can also do this if your clay is too dry. You can use this method to moisten it up, and if your clay is too wet, you can mix it with some drier stuff to help give it some firmness again. So what you're doing is you're going to have a little bit of slurry here. Usually you get that from throwing on the wheel, but you need to use it at some point. And there are several ways to dry that out, but this will help to soften up your clay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that top layer off and slam it down. Take a little bit of that sludge, put it in the center. You don't want too much per layer. Then put a dry layer down, put more wet in the middle, and put more dry. This is a small scale of what you normally would do. Dry, wet, dry, wet. Okay. This is really great for if you have dried out clay. It's going to slide on over. And you're going to add that together. Now, if you have any kind of issues with getting dirty, make sure you're wearing an apron during this. Then you're going to take this piece and kind of push to start. And then you're going to take it and you're going to slam it down. It's going to get a little bit of clay everywhere, so make sure your neighbors know you're going to do it. And then you're going to start slabbing it. And then as you're doing that, you're going to kind of push it back in and re-brick it. Okay. Put it back on its end. Start over from the beginning. And this time you don't have to add anything until the middle layers again, unless you need to add some more, but I would wait until this one is wedged in all the way. See all the holes? That's your air bubbles. So if your goal is to wedge this until all of those are gone, typically speaking, you're going to wedge between, with this method you want to do this like 20 times. With the other methods, they say about 100 times wedging your clay and you're going to be guaranteed to not have any air bubbles. Go ahead and re-brick this. And right now we're really less than wedging, we're really just mixing the wet and dry. I would probably still go back and do either monkey face or shell with this particular method eventually. Right now I'm just trying to work in that wet clay. So that's wedging. Try all three methods. Really, the snail shell is best for when you have a large amount of clay. Monkey face is best for when you have a little bit of clay. And slab and slam is best for when you're trying to mix your clays and get it to a good consistency. That's it.